everyone. Good evening. Hello, Philippines and the world. Mabuhay. So again, today's our day 2 of our dropshipping webinar series, and thank you so much for gracing us with your time tonight. And I do hope that more people will join tonight, so that again you would be more familiar with companies that you can potentially use or sign up with to help you jumpstart your online business or through your your online business through drop shipping. So for tonight, our guest is the CEO and founder of Inspire Solutions or Inspire Dropshipping. He is also the CEO and founder of Comento Live. He was born in Honduras, grew up and raised in New Orleans, and he finally got here in the Philippines 2015 and started doing e-commerce since 2019, and up until now continuously starts up companies and businesses in the e-commerce industry to help Filipinos and anybody who would want to venture into online business. So, good evening and welcome, my dear friend, Darwin Bustillo. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Mary. Good evening. Always good to see you and good to be back in the group. I know it's been I think it's been about a year and a half. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty bad with memory, but it's been quite a while that I've had an opportunity to come here and speak to your community and ideally provide some value and some nuggets of information that I'm sure is going to help them along their journey of e-commerce. So looking forward to it.
Definitely, definitely. And just to share with you guys, Darwin and I had been way back together in OGMD days, and I know I've shared this before and I'm gonna share it again, that there was a time in OGMD history that Darwin was the letter D in OGMD. So before we had our Vibranium Shopify app, Darwin was our investor of that system, but because of COVID, because of the pandemic, there we just had some issues with the development, and uh, we just had to move with another developer, and Darwin was not part of that during that time anymore. But there was a time that he was actually D of OJMD. And
The
Darwin,
good old days.
I think you're forgetting that I don't want to be called Mary anymore, and I
Oh,
mentioned that last night. So
all
since we're
right. So
now
listen, it's gonna
we've
be a little bit of
moved
an
forward,
adjustment.
I
All right.
know,
It's going
I
to be an
know.
adjustment ever since I've known you, Donna. Okay. I've known you as Mary, so you're gonna have to bear
Yes,
with me. And for the people watching, this is an English webinar.
yes,
All right. So we're gonna fine tune the English ear for you tonight.
yes.
So
So
hopefully, you guys
English
can catch,
only.
can catch along with us. And if there are questions, just ask away. And Mary, I mean Donna, will do her best. And
Dana. It's
yeah,
Dana.
Dana or Donna, same
It's
thing. Tomato,
Dana.
tomato, tomato, tomato.
So
All right, Dana.
I know that it's gonna be, it's gonna be an adjustment for a lot of people who've known me in the e-commerce space as Mary, but as what I've shared yesterday, and I've shared this with Darwin as well, that I honestly don't like being called Mary. Anyone who I've worked with in the past, even people that I grew up with, even my family, nobody calls me Mary except people from the e-commerce industry. And again, I only used Mary because it was a good introduction marketing strategy because of the name of my ex partner before. But since OGMD is part of the past and now it's d-commerce, so it's like Mary is with OGMD and Dana is with d-commerce
So
PH.
Mary's
So
dead. Mary's
not
dead,
I
and
don't want to say that Mary is dead. I don't want to say that Mary is dead. She prefers to rest.
yeah. All right,
She
all
prefers to
right,
rest and
Dana.
not work. She just wants to be in vacation. She just wants to go, she just doesn't want to do anything at all. So it's more of Dana is now the one doing all the work. So I would still forgive you if you will call me Mary, not a problem. But I was it Joseph Mary's ex Sherwin, ha? Aga-aga Marites.
But it's
Anyways, hello and good evening to everyone. So let's just mention, sorry, I forgot to what you call this? I forgot to ask for you guys to use the stream link because I cannot see the names of those commenting. Chris Gan. Again, good evening. Thank you for joining us again. And yes, to answer Sherwin, yes. OJ of OJMD was Odera Joseph. And yes, he was my ex. Mary's ex, sorry. Mary's
Mary's
ex.
egg. There you go.
Yeah,
Clean it
Mary's
up.
ex. So let's all move on and move forward. So there. So and just to share with you guys, other than that, um Darwin is a very critical part of my personal life and my e-commerce life. I don't think I would be able to survive OJMD. Um, OJMD was still there without Darwin. So he and I, that's why in this industry, even if you are, well, technically we are direct competitors, but at the same time we are also helping out each other. And that's why in our group, in this group, we're not even before with OJMD, we would still continuously, let you know about other companies like Dropify, Bilis Benta, and just like yesterday we had Dropify, because
Yep.
this is a community. And of course we would still want to let you know of other services that are out there. Good evening again, Rexter. Thank you for joining us again tonight. And thank you to Janice. Newbies here for drop shipping. Yes. And that's one reason why we're having this webinar series, because almost every day those are always the questions and inquiries that we get specifically for this group, that you guys want to know which companies you can be with, go for, and how to actually start having an online business. So there. So I can leave you now, Darwin.
Sure. Listen, again, good evening to everybody. Janice, newbies like you, I think, are going to benefit greatly from having, an understanding of drop shipping, right? And really, to the core, what it is. I think most people have a general understanding. It's like, oh, well, I can sell products. I don't have to buy them in the warehousing. But there's definitely a lot of things that you guys need to understand before diving into this business model. And I think what Mary is doing is going to serve of great purpose to many of you that maybe are in that stage of wanting to start your online business but not really knowing what are the best steps to take and what are the alternatives out there. Like, what options do you have? What companies are there to be able to kind of guide you through those those rough initial steps and cloudiness of running a business, right? So I don't have a presentation, but I'm just going to kind of give you guys some perspective and maybe even share my screen with the system and give you guys a more in-depth breakdown of pretty much drop shipping and how it works, at least with Inspire. So for those that have zero knowledge, right, of what drop shipping is, and this is maybe the first time that you've kind of stumbled across the word or the concept drop shipping. Drop shipping, what it does is, and the beauty of it is that it allows you to start your online business without having to worry about inventory, which is probably going to be one of the most costliest aspects of starting any e-commerce business outside of drop shipping. Having inventory is going to be key. It allows you to not have to worry about a warehousing space, right? That's a huge cost that you're going to have to never worry about. um, in Inspire, we have three warehouses, and our warehousing cost is what, close to 350,000 pesos just on warehousing alone, right? Let that sink in. 350,000 pesos is just to have a place to store the products, right? Not including the millions and millions of products of inventory that we have. So drop shipping allows you to start a business, not have to, shoulder that responsibility of buying inventory up front, not have to worry about warehousing, and not have to be concerned about hiring people, right? Who's going to pick, pack, and ship your orders? Who's going to, provide customer service and really all the things, and this doesn't include, electricity and bubble wrap and tape and, all these, miscellaneous costs that come with running a business. That's the beauty of drop shipping, and it allows you. For me, even till this day, drop shipping is the fastest and most convenient way for anyone to start an online business. Right? There's nothing else that compares to what drop shipping allows you to do. To give you guys a backstory, as you can see and as you can pretty much tell, maybe not so much by my looks, because for some people I can be confusing, and you might look at me and say, my Pinoy kakakumpa. I forgot the word. Kakakumpa. I don't know. Mary will help me out, but it's like what you call a Filipino. Kakapang kakap. How do you call that, Mary? Kakapung. Like when you're saying a Filipino, kakapangang, kakapangangang. I don't know. Anyway, it's something like that. Right? But you may see me and think that I'm Filipino, but I'm actually not. As Mary kind of mentioned, I have been living in the Philippines for, I think at this point, 7 years, 7.5 years. Yeah, Kakapangan. There you go. That one. How do you pronounce that, Mary? Kaka Kampangang. It's on the chat. There you go. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Kakampangan? I don't even
That
know
one.
what
Yeah, yes,
kakampangan
yes, yes.
means. What
Kakampangan.
what is it in English?
Isn't that like saying Filipino? Like that's a Filipino, a Kakapangang, right? Kakapangang. Anyway, moving on. I digress, right? But you may see me and think that I am a Filipino, which I am not. It's pretty obvious that I am a foreigner. And when I first came to the Philippines, my the reason of me being here, to give you some context and just to show you, you know, how powerful drop shipping is. I came to manage a call center. That was the purpose of why I came to the Philippines. In 2015, we started a call center in Mandaluyong City. I was the director of operations of the call center, and we ran it, for a few years. And in 2019, I stumbled across the concept of drop shipping. I was in the same position that you are in currently. Very, very new to the business model, you know, was really intrigued by it. I was super, super intrigued. I was just, for me, it was just amazing as how anybody can start a business without having to worry about any
Sorry,
of the
he
things that I
said
mentioned.
Kapampangan. Okay, now I
That one,
understand. It's like you
Kakampanga.
look like somebody from Pampanga.
Okay, but it's
Okay,
like
okay.
saying Filipino, right?
Yes,
Kakampanga.
yes, 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 yes,
All right.
yes.
But I stumbled across the concept of drop shipping and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it so much that I started to do it, and I left my corporate job. Right? Keep in mind, I was a director of operations. I was making, not to throw my numbers out there, but I was making millions on a yearly basis from payroll as a salary. Right? Managing a 450 person call center. I left all that behind and I started to drop ship and I started to do really, really well with drop shipping, where I was making more money than I was, as a director of operations. And then I saw that there was a huge opportunity in the market, for a company to really provide everything that I wanted as a drop shipper, right? Because I looked at the landscape and I just didn't see a company that checked all the boxes for me, with the support and the products and just everything. I just didn't see it or feel it. So I felt that there was a great opportunity for me to start a drop shipping company. And that's pretty much what I did. And we launched Inspire in 2021 with Shopify. So currently we do have a Shopify app. If you are in Shopify, just search, Inspire drop shipping. And then in June or July of last year, we started to be able to provide the service for Lazada and Shopee. And really, for me, And really what I wanted, Inspire to be able to provide is, a full on service, and really just do everything that I saw the competition didn't do, and really just disrupt the market in that way. So that's kind of when Inspire was born, and we've been operating for about a year and a half, and really at this point, we've obviously have grown the company, pretty drastically, and we wanted to be able to just take the opportunity to kind of give you guys some insight of Inspire, and really just talk about drop shipping. And I know Dana, all right, I got that right. Dana has some questions that she wants to ask, and I'll be able to answer it for those that want a better understanding of the business model.
Yes. Okay. So here are some questions. Why should I start my online business through dropshipping?
Well, as I mentioned, if you evaluate the opportunities that there are, in the space, right, in the realm of business, you tell me another business opportunity that matches the potential that drop shipping has. And if you can tell me one that doesn't have or require an intensive investment in that business, I'm here to listen to you, and I might start it myself, right? So why should you? Well, number one, if you are someone that isn't too familiar, and look at the statistics of the growth of the industry that is e-commerce, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. I think it is your responsibility as someone that has the entrepreneurial itch to look at which industries are doing the best, right? A lot of people, they see and they jump on a hype, right? They see screenshots and they see what people
Right.
talk about. And I mean, a few months ago it was Axie, and then it was this, and it was like so many different things, and it's really just hype. People don't really dive, open the hood of this business model, and see, is there real growth, and
Mm-hmm.
where is it now versus where was it 5 years ago, and where it's projected to be over the next 5 years, right? Like, there's a proper assessment that any business owner or any entrepreneur has to do on a particular business model that they're interested in. And if you do your research, which I highly recommend that you as the viewer do, you will see that e-commerce is definitely by far the fastest growing, not just in Southeast Asia, but really in the entire world, right? And Southeast Asia is kind of catching up
Right.
to what the first world countries in North America and Europe, what they have been doing for the past pretty much 10 years at this point. So the business in itself, e-commerce, is by far the fastest growing. But then when you layer and you put in all the other things that come with it, it's the easiest to get started, right? Why? And not to say that drop shipping is easy, so don't take my words out of context. Drop shipping is not easy, but it's the easiest to get started,
Right.
right? It's the most feasible, it's the most viable option for anybody with a certain amount of money, right? Um, so why should you? Those are some of the main reasons why. And obviously, I touched on the no products, no warehousing, no
Mm-hmm.
employee costs. I can give you, and we can talk about this for hours as to why this makes all the sense in the world, and why I left my corporate job, to focus on this. So a lot of people, they talk about the business model, Mary, but they don't talk about it from an experience level. They've
Right.
never they never drop shit themselves, right?
Correct.
So people can sell you on something and tell you, hey, this is a great thing and this is why you should do it. I always ask, well, have you done what you're telling me I should do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, is this something that you've done? And if the answer is no, then I do become a little weary. I'm like, like, why should I listen to someone that's telling me to do something that they've never done before? So for
Correct.
me, I speak from experience. I started, I sold, I drop shipped, I found success, and I quit my 7-figure job to do this full time. So, if that isn't enough validation, then I really don't know what is.
Yes, and it's basically almost the same thing as like whenever I would see, posts or ads about a drop shipping course. Like it
Hmm.
cringes me in a way because I don't think there should be a course for drop shipping. It's more like you just need to understand what a drop shipping system or business model it is, but the course that you need is really marketing. So
Hmm.
it's, sometimes that kind of confuses me in a way, because for me, like, you don't need to, like, you just need to know what drop shipping is, but you don't need to study it, if you get
Hmm.
what I mean. It's more of like the courses should be focused on still marketing, like, running ads for Facebook, Instagram, probably TikTok, but courses should be focused on that, not
Yeah.
necessarily in drop shipping per se, because drop shipping is just a business model that you don't need to study it. You just need to know what it is. You just need to know how it works. Now, speaking of drop shipping, what would you say are pros and cons of starting a business through drop shipping?
Well, the pros are things that I've highlighted, right? It's the fact that you can run your online business and you can start it as a side hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So typically, when people start drop shipping, you don't just up and quit your job, and like, what, the hell with everything else that I'm doing in my life, right? Because trust me,
Right.
I didn't quit my corporate job doing this I like full time without having any experience. I started it as a side hustle. So, the pros is that you can still keep your job and get started with drop shipping. Why? Because you're not packing orders, you're not having
Right.
to buy inventory, you're not having to manage a warehouse. You don't have all of the pressures that the business owner of any brick and mortar, or I guess what brick and mortar means, of any physical store, because you don't
Right.
have to be there. You can manage it remotely, right? And you can do it on your time off and once you're off of work. So it's great because you can still continue your stream of income. Start this as a side hustle, and once you figure things out and you see that, okay, you know what, I'm ready to take it on full time, then you have that ability. So I think that's a great pro, because any other business, if you're not there 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, and
Correct.
obviously as an online and as an entrepreneur, I can attest to this, and I'm sure Mary can. Our days are long, and they're roughly anywhere from 14 to 16 hours a day, right? So you can't do that with any other business model, because it's going to
Right.
require it, right? Or most business models going to require a lot of time, energy, money, resources. So those are the pros. Those are the pros. You can pretty much get started, and it's very, very little risk versus a high reward. You know, there's an element of risk with anything, right? But obviously, because you
Correct.
may not find success immediately, it may take you longer than when you anticipated, but it's a minor risk versus a
Mm-hmm.
high reward. The cons of drop shipping are some of the benefits of drop shipping, which is, kind of ironic. It's the fact that, you don't control the inventory, right? You're not
Mm-hmm.
purchasing the items. You're not the one processing the orders. You don't
Mm-hmm.
really determine when something goes out, when something gets replenished, how the employees are going to act, right? When you're working with a drop shipping company, that drop shipping company is not your employee, and I want to, emphasize that again. When you're working with a drop shipping company, you're paying them for a service, but they are not your employees. So you don't dictate how they work and what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
So that is obviously somewhat challenging, right? Because you don't really have full control of the entirety of the business. So those are things that you're kind of giving up, in the process of gaining all the other benefits, of dropshipping.
Right. So, how much capital do we need to get started?
Well, this varies, and company to company is a little different, right? Because certain companies have a higher subscription based model, other companies have a lower subscription based model. One of the things that we try to stress to people is that you should have, because listen, and I know that I saw this question, so I'll address it because it's kind of tied to this.
Mm-hmm.
Every drop shipping company has a subscription model, right? That I am aware of that is currently active. Every Listen, you're not going to pay the bills. You're not going to pay that 350,000 peso rent payment by,
Mhm.
hoping that you're able to generate sales, or the drop shippers, generating sales to pay, the expenses that come with it. So 99% of companies have a subscription model, and really depends on which one you work with,
Correct.
and some are lower than, others, and it varies. But the rule of thumb that we try to, explain to people is that you need to have the resources for 6 months of your subscription, right? So whichever company you're operating with, right? If you're working with a company that their subscription model is 10,000 pesos a month, then you
Mhm.
need to have 60,000 pesos, right? Because if you're not going to find success in this business model on your first month or so, right? And that's the one thing that I try to stress to people. It doesn't happen with a snap of a finger, especially if you're operating in Lazada and Shopee. So 6 months is what you're gonna need, and that number will vary depending on the company that you're working with, right? But that's the rule of thumb that I would tell you. Whatever your subscription is, multiply that by six.
So just to confirm, so does Inspire have a subscription fee?
Yes, of course. We have a subscription fee for Shopify, and we have a subscription fee for Lazada and Shopee and the marketplace, and obviously TikTok. So all the marketplaces and all the platforms that we cater to do come with a subscription that you have to pay monthly.
So since you have a subscription fee, what are your fees?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do, and this is not to down talk any of the other companies. They all have their strategic approach as to how they want to price their service, right?
Mhm.
But one of the things that I saw when I first started, in this business model, is that like the subscription like payments were so high, like 10,000,
Right.
12,000. Now, realistically, and I want to be honest with people, if you're someone that thinks 10,000 pesos a month to start your online business is a lot, then you probably shouldn't be starting your business. If you think that's like a huge amount of money, then you're just not ready. And it's
Mhm.
probably best that you save more money, and then once you have enough savings, then you can start a business, right? So in the bigger picture, 10,000 pesos a month, which is what some of these companies charge, is really like a tiny, tiny amount versus the actual cost, right, that
Right.
it takes to run the business. And people just lose sight of that. They don't understand like how much money it actually takes.
Yep.
Um, for us, when we started, I didn't want to make this business model be exclusively for people that can afford 10,000. So we approached it in a very different way. And our lowest subscription package, goes down for Lazada and Shopee from to pretty much 29.99. So pretty much 3,000 pesos. You can have no,
$29.99, you mean?
2,999
Two
pesos.
thousand. Sorry, sorry.
2,999 pesos is the entry package that we have. That is the lowest package for Lazada and Shopee. And I'm gonna focus on Lazada and Shopee because listen, um, if you're starting drop shipping, I just recommend that you start with Lazada and Shopee just
Mhm.
because Facebook ads, it's so much more complex and requires so much more money for ads,
Mhm.
right? But that's just my take on it. If everybody's a little different, of course, but for the average person, right? I like to average for the average person. Lazada and Shopee are definitely going to be your more starter friendly drop
Mhm.
shipping marketplaces or platforms to start with, and or starts as low as 3,000 and it goes up as high as 8,000 pesos, 7,999, so 8,000 pesos. So it ranges in that, and there are other packages. There's a package of 3,000, there's a package of
Mhm.
4,000, and there's a package of 8,000. So those are the subscription options available. Those are the fees available for every package.
Do you have an extensive list of inventory?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have millions and millions upon millions of
Mhm.
products that we've purchased. And it's easy. Listen, for all the drop shipping companies, right? Because the way that I look at it, and I'm also not one, Mary, that likes to hide or kind of like push down any other drop shipping company.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always a great thing when people that are just starting know their options, right?
Right.
And whether they start with us or Dropify or Billy's Benta or another one is from a company called Easy Sell. There's about
Mm-hmm.
5 companies right out there, that are an actual like drop shipping companies. Some obviously have more experience than others. Some are
Yeah.
relatively new. But I always encourage people to do their research and look at the inventory that they have, see if it fits what you want,
Right.
what the subscription models are, because whether they start with us or start with anybody else, the fact that they're getting started in this model, in this business model, I think it's the best thing for everybody involved, because that's more
Exactly.
people that have an understanding of e-commerce and drop shipping, and that only attract even more people to be able to get start on their business. And I'm very confident, obviously, in what we offer. That I just always recommend people, and for them to do their research. But yes, inventory is something, and maybe I'll share my screen in a bit. I'll show you
Okay.
guys, a little bit of what we have in the system and everything else. But
Yes, and I'm seeing you post the past couple of days a lot of new items that are about to arrive.
there are a lot of products coming, and I mean, it's it's Q4. You definitely have to
Yes.
have the inventory ready, right? So
So another question is, and this is a usual question asked, like, are your product costs lower than Shopee or Lazada?
that is the objective. When we do product sourcing, there's a certain way for us to determine whether we want to buy something. And even though we are firm believers that price is not the only thing that matters when you're
Right.
selling a product, you have to admit that it is a very important factor, right? No matter what else you do, if you're overpricing an item, or if it's twice the count, versus what it's sold, then you are going to have a hard time. That is the reality of it. But every product that we get, I would say that, it's hard to put a number, but over 90% of our products are definitely going to be, cheaper than Lazada and Shopee, because that's the only way that, anybody that's new that looks at it is going to be interested in even starting, right? Somebody with experience, they will tell you, hey, price isn't the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody that's fresh and new, that's the only thing that they focus on. Are you
Correct.
lower than Lazada and Shopee, right? So we
Correct.
definitely try our best to make sure that all of our products are lower than Lazada and Shopee. But there are some that are not. Some are like 5 pesos more expensive, but so it's that just kind of comes with it.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that I learned from some of the coaching sessions that you've had last year with your Lazada and Shopee clients, where
Mhm.
in Lazada, even if you're selling, a lot of people think, or new people who would want to venture into Lazada and Shopee think that they would potentially get the best sales if their prices are the lowest,
Mhm.
but apparently not. Like, what's very important with Shopee and Lazada is store optimization, which would actually help you to even generate organic sales and traffic, which is something they would need to work on instead. And at the same time, not everyone buys the lowest price. Sometimes
Right.
buyers would filter by top sales. They would look at your rating. They would look at your reviews. So there's
Well, listen,
also
the,
a
the
lot
thing
of
is
factors
that
to look at.
there's a vast majority of customers that don't equate cheap with quality. So if they see
Yes.
something that's cheap, the first thing that they think of, well, it must not be great quality,
Right.
right? So that, I mean, it's just a common thing that newbies in the industry put so much focus on, and
Okay, I think we lost Darwin. Let's just wait for him for a little while. Okay, he's back.
yeah, I lost you there for a second.
Woo! Okay, so I continue.
Yeah, so
You were
I
saying.
understand why people would feel that way, but it's definitely not the only thing that matters. And there's so many, case studies that you can see. If you search on Lazada, I dare you, look for products. You're going to be that certain products that have a higher price point than others have more
Correct.
sales and more reviews, right? Why? Because their thumbnail is better. Why? Because their lower kit is better. Why? Because their keywords are better research. So many different things that play a role um in having success, and price is not the only thing.
That is right. So same thing as what I mentioned earlier, like with Lazada and Shopee, like the strategy is different. It's not just about your ads, but it's about your store optimization. So speaking about prices, can we mark up the items? Is there a ceiling price, or are the selling prices controlled?
So listen, when we give you, or I guess when there's an item that we have, and let's say that the cost of the item that we sell it to you, the drop ship for is 100 pesos. When we transfer this product into your store, it automatically gets put at 200. So it has a two-time multiplier, and it is your responsibility to adjust the pricing either lower or to go higher, right? That is, you're going to have a strategy that you follow. Um, and, but there's no, I guess, restriction on how much you can price the item. It's completely
Mm-hmm.
your prerogative, your choice. The only thing that you can't do, which you honestly, you can still do it, you're just going to owe us money, is you can go under, right? If you so choose to. And some companies restrict that, others I
Yeah.
don't. If somebody wants to
Mm-hmm.
price it under, right, I allow it on the onset, unless they pay if they pay the money back, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But your pricing, your strategy, you got to, this is, it's your business, it's your online store, and you have the right to be able to adjust pricing the way that you feel, so we don't put any restrictions on that.
Okay. So what would you consider is the best costing strategy?
For me, listen, after handling Lazada and Shopee for, man, 7 8 months now,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I always tell people when they get started is like, listen, if your first objective is profit, you're already starting with the wrong mindset, right? If
That
that's
is
the
correct.
first thing that I gotta be profitable, I gotta start
Yep.
making money, it's just, I think you're doing it wrong. I think what you need to focus on is making sure that your store is optimized, that you've done everything that you can control, from an optimization standpoint that allows you to give you the best chance of success. Now, how are you going to stand out at the beginning? Well, number one is that I would always price the item, where even if it costs 100 pesos, my personal strategy would be, is like, what, I'm going to sell it at cost. Why? Because I'm not interested in making money on my first month. It would be
Right.
fantastic if I do, but my goal is to generate sales, is to generate reviews.
Correct.
But somebody may say, well, man, that means that I'm going to pay 4,000 pesos and not make any money back. And it's frustrating, because what they don't understand is that most businesses take 3 to 5 years to become profitable, right? And not
Mm-hmm.
to say that that's what's going to happen in drop shipping, but you have to be able to, give your best chance, give your best odds of success. And for me, is price your product lower, because you can always increase it. Once you get sales,
Correct.
once you get reviews, once that happens, you can start to increase that price on month two. You
Right.
can start to increase that price on month three. You can start to increase that price. If 4,000 pesos is going to kill you, and if you're not going to be able to recover financially because of it, again, don't start an online business. Like, it's not the time. So for me, that would be the best way. Optimize your store. And even if you have to sell them at cost, do it. It'll be worth it, because, Lazada and Shopee is like a compound effect.
Mm.
It just keeps compounding, and you get more reviews, and your store becomes better, and you
Right.
get all of those things. This is a long game. This is not a 1 2 month 3 month. It's just not the way that it works, and people just need to understand that. So for me, that's the way that I always would approach it. But everybody has their own ways of making money.
Right. So just some questions from our audience. How much did you, so I think this is more of your like what you've done. Like how much did you actually spend or shell out the first time you set up your I would say like your drop shipping business when you were an online seller, I think. I think that
Okay,
that,
when
that
I
is
was
more of
when
the
I was
question
selling in
here.
2000, and when I was selling in 2019. Well, the first thing that I did before I got started is, I hired someone to teach me. So I put down 25,000 pesos, to get someone's time to be able to, and I had a general idea. Like, trust me, I went deep into like what drop shipping was. Like, I became obsessed. you know, I was just hours and hours of videos and tutorials and Facebook ads, and just like I was just craving it. I was just obsessed with it, to be honest. Like, it was quite, you know, quite alarming. As my wife would tell me, she's like, I think you have issues. But one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to, give my best chance to, increase my odds of success. And I'm like, listen, instead of me making my own mistakes and
Right.
learning through that, it's going to cost me more money and more time. I hired someone that gave me the basics and kind of gave me guidance, right? So that was 25 off the gate,
Mm-hmm.
having someone teach me. And I started in I started in, excuse me, Facebook, with Facebook ads. And I mean, I think it was about my first month. I probably spent about 90K, with Facebook ads and everything else. So it was 90K my first month, to be able to get my foot off the ground. But again, this was on in Shopify, and doing Facebook ads, which is why I say, it's that's a little bit more complicated for newbies, because they may not have 60, 70,000 pesos to start with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in 1 month. So, but that's what it took for me, at least.
Were you drop shipping internationally or only here in the Philippines?
I
And
was
why did you choose the Philippines?
I was only drop shipping in the Philippines, and I chose the Philippines because it's less competitive than the US. Your chances of success dramatically increase, because e-commerce is still a relatively new business, or I mean, drop shipping is relatively a new business model, and selling online, it's
Mm-hmm.
still very, very new. And obviously, it was a lot more fresher in 2019, right? Now there's a lot more awareness, but we're not even scratching the surface of
Right.
of what drop shipping or what e-commerce is going to be. So I was strictly in the local market, and for those reasons.
And then when did you realize that you needed to handle your own business full time?
Ooh, that's a good question, Sherwin. Listen, I'm bad with dates, and my age is creeping up on me. So when did I? It was maybe, I think maybe it was about a year in that I was like, okay, I need to be able to, dedicate myself to this. And to be honest with you, it wasn't even by choice. Just my
Mm-hmm.
employer found out that I was doing drop shipping, and I was still managing the call center. So it was a great, like, they forced my hand. They kind of told me, hey, listen, either you stop your online business, or you have to leave the company and leave the position behind. I mean, I didn't think about it for not even a second. Like, it
Mm,
wasn't even like, oh man, what should I do? I was like, all right, I'm
right.
gone. I'll file my resignation, just because I knew, uh, I just knew what the potential was, and obviously my results were there, and it was, yeah, it was about a year after, and it was definitely a more forceful, but it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because
Right.
it pushed me against the wall, right? People typically react better to situations when there are no other alternatives, and your
Mm-hmm.
back is against the wall, and it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do now, right? So for me, pushing myself against that wall and saying, okay, well, guess what? There is no more corporate job. This is it.
Right.
I had to, work hard, and make sure that it worked.
That's right. Now, say for example, I have my own brand. Can I sell my own brand through Inspire?
You can, but you would have to apply as an actual supplier, and those products will need to be shipped to our warehouse, and you have to create a brand new store for the products that you're selling, right? So if you have a Lazada and Shopee already, you're not going to be able to use that store with us. It has to be a store that we have control over, and you're going to have to send the products, and we're going to have to do the fulfillment and then pay you on a weekly basis. But yeah, we actually have a few people that they pretty much get a drop shipping store with us, and they have products that they've purchased, through China, and they're like, hey, I want to add these to my store. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we don't showcase those products to the other drop shippers. we obviously just allocate that inventory for that specific drop shipper. So yes, it's definitely possible.
Okay. Um, where is it better to sell? Lazada or Shopee?
I mean, both are great platforms. It's to tell you one is better than the other. Or sales are kind of split at this point. I think it's about 50-50, if not 55-45. Maybe Lazada is a little bit, higher than Shopee. But listen, both platforms are great. They both have their pros and cons. If you are a newbie, and you are not that technically savvy and you don't have a lot of graphic skills because
Mm-hmm.
Lazada requires a lorry kit, then I would tell you that Shopee would be your best option, to get started. Um, but the quality of customer is greater in Lazada than it is Shopee. Shopee is like a price war. So it's like, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be very competitive with the price. And in Lazada, you can get away with, charging a higher price. Just the customer is a bit more premium than what you're going to get in Shopee. But it does require a bit more technical skills, because in order for you to see you need to have a good, description and things of that sort. So both have pros and cons, but it's really a preference thing. It's hard for me to say one over the other. Both are good, and we've seen great success from drop shippers in Shopee. We've seen great success from drop shippers in Lazada. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really up to the person, not the platform itself. Both are
Right.
there, and both are great.
Right. How soon can I get an ROI, or can I see
Ooh,
an ROI through drop shipping?
return of investment. You know, I actually watched a portion of your webinar yesterday, and Mike from Dropify. Shout out to you, Mike. I know one of the things that he said was that they don't necessarily see like the business as an actual investment. I kind of disagree. I think that when you are starting a business, you are investing in that business, and when you invest in something, you expect a profit.
Right.
Right? You're investing your time, you're investing your money, you're investing, like, that is an investment, and any investment that I've ever done, I expect to make money back, right?
Of
So,
course.
it's a great question, and this really varies. It varies on the person. I've seen people become profitable in month one. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people, it takes them 8 months to become profitable. So it's hard to average out and
Right.
say, hey, this is the specific time, because it's all very, based on the person. How hard are you working? It
Correct.
boils down to that. um it is very, very, like, it doesn't happen often, and I want to make sure that people understand this. Being profitable on your first month is very rare, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't happen that often, because you're brand new to the whole process, right? And it's a lot going on. But it does take it if on average, it does take a few months for you to start being able to break even and then start making money, and then obviously thereafter it starts to compound. But it really all boils on the person. Again, I've seen many
Right.
cases where it's month one, and unfortunately, people that are in month eight, but it's one of the greatest feelings for them, because they know that it's taken them this long, and then now it's just,
Exactly.
so it really varies on the person.
Right. And I think the in a way the advantage of taking it longer for you to see the success, or for you to see an ROI, is that you've experienced a lot of failures already. You've seen a lot of downsides. And then, I mean, but one thing that can be guaranteed is that once um the ins and outs already, especially when it comes to um your store optimization, how to drive traffic, organic, joining these major sales for Lazada and Shopee. Whatever you lose in terms of investment during the months that it was hard for you, as soon as you see an uptick, or as soon as you see a stability in terms of the sales that you're generating, definitely everything that you have invested on those months where you were not seeing much sales, you would be able to recover quickly. And as what Darwin mentioned, it really boils down to your effort, your dedication, and how much you really want to be successful um uh doing this.
Right.
So it's really a case to case basis.
Listen, what I've
um
seen is that if like I told you guys earlier, when I started, I was obsessed, right? And one thing that I've realized, and just kind of observing and being around, entrepreneurs and people that have, businesses and great businesses, that everybody that I see has success is that they are obsessed with what they're doing. They
mhm,
are fascinated and they are driven, right? You know, I work 14, 16-hour days, 6 days a week. I have a 8-hour shift, maybe 7-hour shift on a Sunday. But I enjoy what I do and I love the grind, right? If you don't love the grind, if you are
right.
trying to, if this is a money grab for you and you think, oh man, this is easy, or I'm not going to put that much work, I just don't start this business model. Save your money and, buy some lottery tickets and maybe you hit on that, but yeah, it's just this requires work and it requires,
Yes,
perseverance. And that's why I always tell people, because one of the things that I hate is when people pay, they don't see the ROI in their first month and then they think the business is a sham. Like, I don't know if you saw a post in my group where this
I
guy,
think I think last week or two
it was
weeks ago.
last week, right? Where I literally, like, I even posted his face because the shit he told me was just insane. But he was like, he was so upset. Like, he was so upset that he didn't make not one single order on his first month. And he's like, this is a scam, blah, blah. Like, he was just going off, right? And I was shocked that I'm like, man, I'm like, if he worked really hard on his store and he didn't get a sale, like, that's
Mhm.
alarming, right? Like,
Yes,
you're gonna get some sales. So I looked at his store and he had done absolutely nothing. Like, and when I say nothing, we gave him the store, we gave him the products, right, in his store, and then he sat there and did nothing, right? So it was just like, well, what do you expect? Like, what do you want? Like if you're
just
that type
waiting
of
for.
person, right? If you're that type of person, right, just save your money because you're gonna waste it. Because you're gonna be wasted and you're gonna be upset and you're gonna think the business model doesn't work, and then you're gonna be asking me for a refund, and I'm gonna tell you to go to hell, right? So so don't do it if you're not serious. That's all I can say. I can care less about your 4,000, 7,000 pesos, right? It's just, are you serious and do you want to get started? And if you are,
Yes,
and this, any drop shipping company will tell you the same. They want serious people because it's more of a headache when you deal with people that aren't serious and then they complain. So, quick side note and story that I wanted to share. And if you don't know, go into it, you'll see the comment. It's pretty fun. It's like, it's it's a very entertaining conversation, to say the least.
yes. So this is a business, so it has to be taken seriously. And it is an advantage that there are drop shipping companies now, because years ago there wasn't any. And as what I mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned that yesterday, I think, because I had another I was a guest panel in another um live webinar. But as what I shared there is that when I started online selling locally 2018, yeah, early 2018, I there was no drop shipping system or model. So we had to do like the regular system, wherein one, you need to look for suppliers, look for products, purchase the product before you can even market them. Now, there are several drop shipping companies that can actually offer you a wide range of products that you can post on your store, test, and market. So it's really lower risk in terms of venturing into the business, because it's making it easy for you. And again, all you have to do is really just learn the tricks on how to be able to generate sales. That's all you need to do. It's more like, if in business you need to know the A to Z's, through a drop shipping company, they remove a lot of alphabet already, because basically all you have to focus on is marketing, and then of course with Lazada and Shopee is store optimization, because
Hmm.
they'll be doing the product sourcing for you, they'll be providing the products for you. Once you have an order, they will do the fulfillment, they will take care of your remittance. You just need to wait for your payout. Again, all you need to do is focus on generating sales. So it's like, if they're, in reality, we're supposed to do 5 steps or 5 things. Here, you just need to do one. So that's the advantage of having or using a drop shipping service or a drop shipping company. Are there legalities needed for me to start?
The beautiful thing about drop shipping is that you can get started. You don't need an ETI. You don't need to register your business. We do that, right? That's part of the drop shipping company. We're the ones that are a registered business, and it really just falls on us. So you can get started rather quickly without having to worry about, worrying all the paperwork and the headache of, of,
Right.
of registering your online business. So it's not a necessity at the start.
Another advantage. Um, I guess my last question for you, Darwin, is why should I choose Inspire?
Ah, you know, I think our services speak for themselves, and I think if you, as a potential, entrepreneur, again, I encourage you to look at the services out there, and see, what they offer and at what price point, and really just the scope of the services, right? I think, and this is not to pat myself or the company too much in the back, and not to be biased, but our company and our service and what we offer is, miles ahead versus what I see in the business model. But it is for everybody to decide, right? I guess to kind of give you a list of a few things. Obviously, it's the price point. We're not catalog based. We
Mm-hmm.
don't restrict you to having to pay for, how typically most drop shipping companies work is that you have to, subscribe to a catalog, and that catalog may be kids toys or kid products, and then there's another catalog for home products, and then there's another catalog for gadgets, and then there's another catalog, and then every catalog is 8,000, 10,000, 11,000. 5,000. And then if you want to be able to sell all those products, you're looking at about 40,000 pesos of subscriptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
The benefit with Inspire is that, for 4,000 pesos a month, you get access to all products and all catalogs, right?
No
With the
restriction.
Yeah, with the exception of the furniture catalog. The furniture is completely separate, but we have our reasons for that. But everything is pretty much accessible to you, right? In addition to that, we provide, which I think is a very underrated but very helpful service, which is we take care of the customer service. So if you own a Lazada and Shopee store, and you are using this as a side hustle, and you have customers that are messaging your store, we have a system that is able
Mm.
to pretty much send that request over to our customer support, and they're the ones
Mm.
replying from you, for you from Monday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 6
Wow.
p.m. So they are handling, and this is only for Lazada and Shopee, right? And if you know Lazada, they give you a score on how good your customer support is, right? So if you're not responding to people within a 30-minute time frame, Lazada gives you penalties. And what happens is that they start to, they promote your store less,
Mm-hmm.
because what Lazada is saying, well, if you can't respond to customers, why should we give you more traffic? Right? So it's a huge part of your store optimization, and it's not something that any other drop shipping company offers, but we take care of that from Monday through Sunday from 9 to 6. So if you work during the day and you can't answer people, we got you covered. If you work at night and you're sleeping during the day, then obviously that covers you as well. And I mean, listen, I can give you a long list of things. Listen, there's like literally a long list of things that make us different. And I've done that
Mm-hmm.
intentionally, but I would recommend that you do your research and see what those things are. So I don't take, 30 minutes of your time explaining them, and then make your own assessment. And whichever company you choose, at the end of the day, as long as you get started, I think that's the most important thing.
So that's really good. So you're saying that with your Lazada and Shopee clients, if I don't
Mhm.
have time to manage sorry, if I don't have time to monitor
The chat.
the chat, your customer service team will be able to do that.
That's a service that we offer for
Wonderful.
free. So
That's
once you
nice.
subscribe, yeah. And I guess another big one, which maybe once I share my screen, you'll be able to
Okay.
see it, is that we have. I'm not sure how many people know Coachina, but we once you subscribe, you automatically get a full course of how
Mm,
to operate your Lazada and Shopee store. This course, we sell it, individually for 7,499. But once you subscribe to any package, it can be the 3,000 peso package, or it can be the high package. Once you subscribe, you automatically get that for free. So we provide you with a full course. We have weekly coaching sessions. So we have coaches like Coach Trixie and Coach Sheena that work with drop shippers and kind of do store audits. So we don't just throw you in the
right.
in the wolf den, in the lion's den, and once you pay and like, hey, figure it out. We give you the information and we try to guide you because your success is our success. So we
Mm-hmm.
have a mutual interest, which is for both of us to do well, for you to do well, because the greater you thrive, the better we are, right? And the longer you stay using the service. So we're very motivated to make sure that you're doing your part, with the things that you need to know. But in the end, again, it boils down to obviously you. So there's a lot of things, but you do your research and go from there.
That's good. You can share your screen now, Darwin.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Share screen. And let me know if you can see it.
Yep.
Okay. So for those that want to know, this is pretty much our system, right? It's pretty straightforward and intuitive. It's you can see, you can track your orders. All of this is automated. So once somebody makes an order in your Lazada and Shopee store, it will automatically reflect here. There's no manual work that you need to do. You're able to monitor obviously canceled, confirmed, in transit, delivered, RTS. You can play around with the date range. You're able to see your sales graphs. And I was going to show you guys the drop shippers, but their name is here, so I didn't want to put anybody's information out there. And you can see, a calculator, how much money you're making, what are your earnings, what's your cost based on the date range. So the system is very intuitive. Obviously, we have products, and as you can see, these are some of the products that are in within our system that you can start selling. If you see that it's coming soon, that means that it is on the way from China, or whichever country we're bringing it from, and it's already on. So it should arrive within the next week or so. So all of
And
these,
then they
as
can also see the quantity, right?
correct. So this is the actual quantity of the products, right? So as you can see, obviously things do have a decent amount of quantity for you to start selling, and you can, pretty much import these products and start selling them immediately, right? Once you import them, and we get them into your store. So there's pages and pages of products that you can start selling from. Um, it's pretty straightforward, right? And when you want to get something in, you import it. You're able to see my products. These are the products that you've imported into your store. You can manage your orders. There's all this information here. I think this is an example one that I created, right? So it's pretty straightforward. You can look at the subscriptions available. Lazada, Shopee. These are promos. These are the packages that we offer. 11,997, 3 months gives you access to all products, right? So the system is very, very intuitive. And obviously, what I told you before is that we give you tutorials on how to navigate the system, right? So if you're confused about something, you can definitely just watch the videos. If you have a concern, we do have a live chat support. They work 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., right? 7 days a week, you can access one of our live customer service reps. So you don't have to go on Messenger and try to reach out to our Facebook page. You can do it all within the app. Oops, I believe so. The course is only available. Give me a second. Uh, sign out. This is a test account. Right. Right. So here you have Coachina for those that I mentioned. You get this absolutely free once you subscribe, and you pretty much have this is something that's free for everybody, even though they haven't paid. But once you subscribe, you have videos on how to get started, right, from beginner to intermediate, um, to obviously advanced, right? So it's a full on breakdown of everything that you need. And even one thing that I think I didn't touch on is we also don't restrict you for selling in the Facebook marketplace. So if you have somebody that wants to do an offline order and they are within Lazada and Shopee, you have the ability to be able to create an order, right? This is outside of Lazada and Shopee. If they are within Metro Manila or even outside of Metro Manila, so we offer it nationwide. You would have the ability of selecting, hey, this order is from Facebook, and you can pretty much select the products, right, that you want to sell. You create an order, right, and you can see here your order has been successfully created, and you can see that order here, right? So pretty straightforward. So it gives you a lot of different options. Um, you know, oops, stop sharing. So again, you can sell in Lazada and Shopee, but if you subscribe to Lazada and Shopee, we still give you the access for free, no
Yeah.
extra charge to be able to sell products outside of the platform. So it's a huge advantage. And again, take a look at it and you'll see the services that we offer. It's pretty wide and there's a wide range of them at a price that is just hard to compete against.
So if there are orders outside Lazada and Shopee, then they just need to manually input the order in the system, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
That's great. That's great. So if I would want to subscribe to Inspire drop shipping, Darwin, where do I need to go?
You can go to, and it's pretty straightforward, just go to app.inspiredropshipping.com. Again, app.inspiredropshipping.com, and then you're going to be sent here to this landing page or to this page, and all you have to do is create an account,
Did I
right? So
type it right?
I don't know if you did. Let me see.
App.inspiredropshipping.com.
Correct.
That's right.
App.inspiredropshipping.com. Correct.
Okay. So if you would want to avail or know more about Inspire Dropshipping, so just go to this website or to this link, app.inspiredropshipping.com. So would you want to share a little bit about Commento Live, Darwin, before we let you go?
Um, so I mean, Commento Live is just a different company that I own, and it focuses on wholesaling. Pretty much live selling, retail. So if you're someone that wants to buy products, and you want to be a reseller, and maybe you want to do it outside of Lazada and Shopee, and maybe you're into live selling, Commento is just a platform that provides you products at a very, very low cost. So typically, we are about 50% of Lazada and Shopee, meaning if the item costs 100 pesos in Lazada, then we sell it to you for 50 pesos. So we pretty much operate in the business of liquidation, right? So again, completely different from drop shipping, but it's all related to e-commerce and online selling. So if you want to know more about that, you can just search us on Facebook at Fomento Live, or you can search us on TikTok, which I am happy to say that we are pretty much close to about 30,000 TikTok
Wow.
followers. So it gives you a
What
lot
is
of information.
your TikTok name? Commento Live
It is
full?
it is called, yeah, it is Commento at Commento Live, correct? Yeah, we actually at 31,000. Sorry, I thought we were getting close to that. Yeah, we are at 31,000. So it has a lot of information that you can use if you want to start a business that isn't Lazada and Shopee and drop shipping. If maybe you have resources to buy products in wholesale and you have a good distribution network of people that can, or a good reseller network, then Comento Live is going to be your best option.
And if in case you're near Valenzuela and if you need a place to conduct your live selling, you can actually use the Commento Live um, space,
Yep,
which which
we
is
lease it out so you
huge.
can go in there and sell our products without having to buy them. So different business models
Yes.
again. So it's really whatever whatever type of flavor you're into. If you want to do drop shipping, we can provide a solution for that. If you want to be your own seller and maybe sell via live selling or have your own physical store, then Comento Live is going to be best suited for
Yes. So did I so like for Facebook, if they want to find the page, it's just Commento Live
you. Yep, correct.
there. So again, if you want to know more about the other business or the other company of Darwin, which is more involved in live selling products to purchase, liquidation products. So just if in TikTok, it's Commento Live, one full word. And then in Facebook, just look for Commento Live. Ayan. Any last words, Darwin, for anybody who would want to venture the e-commerce space or drop
I mean,
shipping?
what I can tell you is that do your research on the business model that you're looking to enter. Do not come with the expectations that this is easy and that you're going to be able to make millions by just having an online store. It doesn't work that way. You have to be able to assess yourself and understand if you are someone that is willing to put the work in when it comes to learning and executing, and are okay with dealing with failure and rejection. That's all part of it. If you check all those boxes, then I think e-commerce is going to be a great option. Do your research when it comes to which company you want to work with. It is super super important. Again, there are a lot of options available, and I'm sure Mary is going to do more of these companies in the next weeks or in the next few weeks or so. But do your research, study the companies, go into their community, how active are they, and you'll have a very good pulse and sense, I think, rather quickly as to which company is best suited for you. And whichever one you choose, do your best, and try to make sure that what you don't half-ass anything. And if you do that, then I think you're putting yourself in a good position to find success. Again, the most important thing is that you get started and take action, right? That's the most important thing. Take action and get started. If not, none of this means nothing, um, because unfortunately, you're not going to see any progress if you don't make any real decision in starting your business. So,
That is right. And also the best time to start your online business is before the year ends because the peak of online selling is always quarter four, especially November and December. So this is really a good time for you to start and do something about your plans or your want to have an online business through drop shipping or through other platforms. So again, Darwin, thank you so much for gracing us with your time tonight. And thank you for everyone who joined our live session today. For anyone who was not able to join, no worries. This live session will stay in the group, which you would be able to see and watch anytime you want. So again, Darwin, thank you for your time. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye,
take care, everybody.
everyone.